Soundtracks by Jon Acuff is a self-help book about how you can stop overthinking and make intentional choices about how you want to interact with the world and chart your own life path and how to do that most effectively. Here's the thing with self-help books, that is almost always the main idea of every self-help book. Like, that's just the industry standard, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it's a very worthwhile subject to have a whole genre dedicated towards. One of the reasons I was hesitating to buy this is I couldn't figure out what soundtracks meant, the title of it, and I tried to read reviews and read editor excerpts, and I still couldn't figure it out. Like, what does soundtracks mean? So I had to read the book to figure it out. Basically, you can replace the word soundtracks with mindsets, because he's saying we keep listening to the same soundtracks over and over again in our lives, so we can make a conscious decision to switch the channel and listen to the soundtracks that we want to listen to. In other words, we can just impose these good mindsets on ourselves. And the primary tactic that he has in the book for implementing all these good ideas is by affirmations, a daily affirmation process, which he doesn't get to until towards the end, but I think that's the main idea of the book. Figure out what you want your mindset to be, and then do some daily affirmations to get your mind going through the motions so you can actually be there. It was mildly memorable, I think. It sounds too much like the generic self-help book to really make a difference for me. Part of the problem is that I have with these kinds of books is you have people who are making a living out of writing them. I saw a picture of Jon Acuff with a big stack of his books, and it actually made this book less appealing to me, because then I see this guy as a businessman who is part of his financial model is crank out a book every year, and that'll improve sales, and then direct them to your website, and then he'll get more viewers, and then he's got this whole business of him being this self-help guru. For me, I prefer more analytical self-help books, or very specific self-help books that have a specific point that they're making in that self-help genre. I think the appeal of this book, and I think why people like him, is he's just funny and lighthearted, and I can see why to a lot of people he'd be motivational. So he has his place and his followers, and so good for them if they're uplifted. I've read a lot of self-help books over the years, and there are three that come to mind that have the most useful and practical ideas from my perspective. One is The Accidental Genius by Mark Levy, The Practicing Mind by Thomas Sterner, and The 5 Elements of Effective Thinking by Berger and Starbird. Those were interesting because they latched onto something specific and gave a specific tool to work with. All in all, I would rate this as an average self-help book at about 2.5 stars. If you have any recommendations, leave them in the comments below.